Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, here to Sports Time HQ. I'm your host, Fernando. Joining me today is my great co-host, Gary. Gary, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good. I'm hoping to have a big night from Packers defense to push me through to my finals in my big money league. So let's root on Packers defense, everybody.
All right, we're rooting on Packers defense. That's what we're doing today. But Gary, since we're talking about leagues, this is the semifinals week. Instead, next week is the championship. Listener League. Let's talk about that Listener League. You are not in the playoffs, but you are in the toilet bowl of the playoffs. Talk to me how that is going for you.
Honestly, I'll be completely honest. I just barely missed the playoffs. I thought I was actually gonna make it, but I think I missed it by a game. And once I saw that, I was like, you know what? I'm already done. Let me go for something that's at least somewhat notable. Last place.
Right? Last place indeed. Gary is fighting for that last place spot. Hopefully, Thomas talked to you, saying how he beat you and everything, and yada yada and whatnot. But I'm doing okay with the Listener League. I'm in the championship. I beat Keith this week. So one of us is in the championship. Again, for any of you who did end up joining that league, the winner of the league will win a Trophy Smack sponsored trophy. Again, if you haven't done so already, go to trophysmack.com/sportstimeHQ. Get yourself a trophy, ring, or a belt. But that does mean that either me or one of our listeners is going to get a trophy, and that's really exciting. So I'm hyped.
Hopefully not you.
Have a trophy? No, it's gonna be me. Come on. Also, the winner of the league does get a free entry into next year's Listener League. So everyone that is in the Listener League will not be in the Listener League next year. You just have to watch out for it next year. And when we post it, you got to jump right on it.
Yes, sir.
News and notes. Let's get into that. What kind of news do you want to talk about today? Do you want to talk about the playoff picture first, or do you want to talk about the tankathon and how bad teams are doing?
I think it would be a delight to both of us to talk about the tankathon because we're both part of it, right?
We very much are. Both of our teams are sitting at 3-12, but with the Vegas win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Patriots now move up to number 2 in the draft spot. So that means that they have a chance to get my boy Travis Hunter.
I mean, I guess I still don't understand why Patriots would do that. I mean, I get it; he's the best player in the draft at that point, but I feel like it just down the road isn't going to be the right move. Again, I've talked about this a lot. I think that maybe he gets a couple plays at wide receiver, but I think he's strictly just going to stick to defensive back, which I feel that is not even close to one of the top needs for the Patriots. I think instead that they need to move back, draft a tackle or guard, whoever's the best available, whatever they can get the most capital for, and pretty much preserve Drake May, because as of right now, he looks like the real deal. And I think that if he were to get injured next year, God forbid, of course, drafting Travis Hunter would not be nearly worth it.
Drake May, Dylan in the chat. Drake May is the real deal. Happy for him. Competed against the best of the best. Should it be the Bills, which is widely impressive. Personally, I'm glad we didn't beat the Bills. As much as I would love to beat the Bills, I'm glad we didn't. We're trying to get a top pick. But I do like Dylan's take on this. He likes trading back. He wants to trade back. Unfortunately, if they are not looking for Travis Hunter, which would be so sad for me, I think you got to trade back because you're going to get so much more capital because it's the number 2 overall pick. If you're looking for the third best wide receiver, you might get him mid-round. So you could be able to trade back, have someone jump all the way to number 2, and you're getting a haul for that number 2 overall pick.
I'm so excited to see what's going to happen this year because I can't talk about it enough. Everybody that's heard me talk about this draft is probably sick and tired of me talking about it. It's so deep. It is such a good draft. You know, it's not just spectacular at one position or two. It's, every single position has some depth to it. So you're going to be seeing probably some slept on gems entering, the middle second round, and you're probably feeling really good about those guys. So, like I said, I'm excited to see it.
I tell you, a gem that we picked in the second round, Jalen Polk, he's been a not worthy gem. He's been trash.
Yeah,
Trash.
you're right. You're right about that.
And I hated it. I absolutely hated that pick, and the Patriots being the Patriots. Dylan's got a question in the chat. He's in the semifinals, it looks to be. He's down 12.3 fantasy points. His opponent is a Christian Watson, and he has Josh Jacobs. How do you like my odds? Well, Dylan, I think I like your odds a lot. And the reason why I like it is because I think Watson personally is the number 3 receiver in that Green Bay offense behind Dobbs and Jaden Reed. But the problem is Green Bay's wide receivers are so unpredictable. You could have Christian Watson have a boom week and have the other two do a bust week. That's the problem. I think your odds, I'm going to probably give it a 75%. I think you have a good 75% chance of winning.
I don't know if I'll go that high, but you definitely have a shot in the sense that, I mean, Josh Jacobs has been balling recently. I think he's had like 5 or 6 20 or maybe 4 or 5 20-plus point games. So he's been playing really good. Unfortunately, I'm rooting against that, as in one of my leagues, I'm playing against Jacobs and Packers defense with a 32-point lead. So I kind of need him to not do good. But if it means, Dylan, that you are able to win your league, then albeit.
Perfect. All right, let's go into the rest of it of the tankathon. So, of course, going down the top 5 right now, Giants, who sit alone at 2-13. They're currently sitting at the number 1 overall pick. Then we got New England Patriots in a 5-6-way tie, I think. New England, Jacksonville, Tennessee, Cleveland, and Las Vegas. They all have 3 wins, 12 losses. And right now, based on the tiebreakers and everything, it goes in that order. What do you want your Cleveland team to be? Do you want them sitting at number 5? Do you want them higher, or are you fine if they're around that where they are now?
Well, I want Shedeur Sanders. So,
yeah.
I mean, I want them to be number 1 because I think the Giants are going to go for him if they're there.
Shedeur wants Las Vegas, though, no?
I don't know. Honestly, I think or I read a tweet saying that Dion personally stated that he wouldn't get involved in that. I don't know if that's true or not, but he said that he would not intervene, with whatever team that drafts his son. So we'll see how that goes. But I've been a big Shedeur fan for the past year or two, and I really have liked him as a player. I think that, honestly, he could fit into any system he goes with. I think even the Giants, I mean, I love that with Neighbors. I think that is going to be such a great duo, especially for years to come. So, yeah, I like him wherever he goes. But as for the Browns, yeah, I mean, just keep trying to lose. I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem because I believe, although there's a slim chance, the Dolphins are still fighting for a playoff spot, and that's who we face next. So we'll probably lose to them. And then I think we close the season out with the Ravens. So, yeah, we're going to lose, hopefully, the last 2.
Yeah, so speaking of, we'll go into the playoff picture now. And you said the Browns are facing the Dolphins?
Yes, we are.
Well, unfortunately, the Dolphins have actually been eliminated from playoff contention.
Oh, is that true? Okay.
Yes, they did. There is only, I think... Actually, sorry, they did not get eliminated. That's my fault. I was looking at In the Hunt, and I only saw 2 teams, and I messed up because I put In the Hunt and then On the Bubble. But the Dolphins are there. There is a 7% chance. Personally, I want your Cleveland team to win because
of course you do.
We don't like the Dolphins. We don't like the Dolphins. But hey, if your Cleveland team does lose, hey, then it helps you. But there is only 2 spots remaining in the AFC. I'm not going to read you the teams that are clinched. Actually, you know what? I will because I do it every week now. Chiefs, Bills, Steelers, Texans, Ravens. Those are the top 5 who are currently sitting at those 5 seeds mentioned. Right now in the hunt is the Chargers and Broncos, who are, as of right now, if the season ended today, would be in the playoffs. Now, here is the 3 teams that are left. The other teams we don't care about. They're eliminated. Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals all sit at 7 and 8 on the season. If you look at that, they're 2 games actually back from the 2 teams that are still in the hunt, the Chargers and the Broncos. And right now, I think the team that has the best chance out of those 3 is the Bengals because I'm 100% rooting for the Bengals. And I wish Katie was watching because Katie would love this take. The Bengals need to win out. And they face the Broncos next week, and that is going to be a huge game.
I'm gonna agree with you. I actually, as much as I don't want to, because they are AFC North rivals, still an Ohio team, so I will be rooting for them. I agree. I think that they have the best chance of getting into that last spot. I mean, they can write their own path in terms of beating the Broncos, which is, I mean, step one, they have to win out.
Yeah.
And that, if they beat the Broncos, then they take care of a big part of that because they need the Broncos to lose. And then they need, who is it, the Colts and Dolphins to lose
Yeah.
one more time.
Yeah, I
So,
think the Dolphins need to lose. I think the Dolphins already lost that one time. I think they need it,
okay,
but I think the Colts need to lose one more.
okay. So that's definitely doable. And the Broncos, they need to lose, I believe, 2 games, or maybe it's one more. But regardless, they play them next, and then the
Broncos need
Broncos
to lose
play.
out.
Oh, okay. Well, the Broncos play the Bengals, so that'll be one, and the Broncos play the Chiefs the game after that.
It's
So
huge.
that would be crazy to see though, because the Chiefs, if they have the 1 seed locked up already, they would probably sit everybody. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a kind of thing you gotta look at it like this. But um, I would say that if I'm looking at all these teams, I would say the Bengals have the best chance.
Here's the reason why I really want to see the Broncos go to the playoffs, only because of Bo Nix, and I really like Bo Nix and what he's
Hmm.
done this year. But I think you do have a good point with the Chiefs benching their players on week 18. But I think the reason why they're not going to is because if they lose that game, the Broncos are in. And
Yeah.
I don't think they want a division rival in the playoffs alongside the Chargers as well.
Don't
So
hate that. Don't hate that. I would just think, would the Chiefs really be willing for that to happen, to risk injury?
mm,
Like I said, it'll be something to watch out for.
yeah, very, very much. Let's go into the NFC. And right now, the NFC Lions, Eagles, Vikings, the only 3 teams. There is 4 spots remaining. Again, the Rams, Falcons, Packers, Commanders. They are the 4 that are currently in the hunt if the teams in the season would end today, which is big because the Buccaneers losing last night now puts the Falcons above them in the playoffs and in the division. Which, to think Michael Penix 2 weeks after debuting would play a playoff game, which would be absolutely wild to me. But right now, the Buccaneers and Seahawks are the only 2 teams looking from the outside in. I think both these teams have a really good chance of making playoffs, but we need the Seahawks to win out, and I don't know if they can do that. They do face the Bears. Yeah, you could say that, but the problem is the Seahawks are I'd say kind of a mid team, but not a team that I think is enough to make the playoffs anymore. Maybe in the beginning of the season I could have said that, but not anymore. I think Buccaneers are the team that needs to win, because if they don't win and they don't make it to the playoffs, I think we might see some changes next year there.
I could see that for sure. I agree with you in the Seahawks because I think they're just very inconsistent, and you don't really know what you're going to get from that entire team every week. So their status is up in the air. But man, that Buccaneers game last night really, was just like, is this the
Where are the
team?
Cowboys winning? Where are the
Yeah,
Cowboys winning?
that's what I'm saying, man. Like, should the Buccaneers really be losing to the Cowboys? Obviously not. I mean, it's a tough game on the road, I guess. This year
Mhm.
Dallas hasn't been good, but historically they're good at home, so I can understand it. But Baker in the first half just did not look good. So showed his Cleveland inconsistency there a little bit, but bounce back in the second half. If we get second half Baker, how the Buccaneers did last night, then I could definitely see them making playoffs and maybe getting another win like they did last year.
Very much. It's going to be intriguing to see and how this season plays out. Again, the 5 teams total that are on the bubble looking from the outside in. The Colts have a 13% chance. Dolphins have a 7%. Bengals have an 8% chance of making it to the playoffs. Where the Bucks and the Seahawks have the best odds in the NFC, or out of all of the 5. Buccaneers 51% and the Seahawks 18%. Again, the reason why Buccaneers are so high is because of their division rival. Having the same record with the Atlanta Falcons. Let's go into, what do you want to talk about? You want to talk about some injuries now?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right, let's get into some of the injuries. Again, not so many injuries that I could see, but unless you have some more injuries that you'd like to talk about, and I think we will, we're going to have you mention the running back situations. But quarterback, concussion protocol right now, Jalen Hurts is in. That's something to monitor. Obviously, they just lost to the Commanders. What a wild ending that was. That was great to see. And I think that's just solidifying more. Jaden Daniels is going to win MVP. Whoop-de-doo. Who's surprised? Nobody. But as much as I really want Bo Nix, I really want Bo Nix to win MVP. Here, that's my take. But yeah, that's a big thing for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles because obviously they are trying to compete for that number 1 seed. And right now they are sitting at 12-3, 1 game back behind the Lions.
Yeah, that Jalen Hurts injury. I mean, man, I don't, never root for anybody to get hurt, but that saved me in one of my leagues. I'll be honest.
Really?
I'm up like 40 points on one of my the guy I'm facing, and he's got Jacobs tonight, and that's it. So if he had Hurts for that entire game, he'd probably only need like 10 to 15 points from Jacobs. So I know, a lot of people out there got affected by that, but none more bigger affected than the Eagles themselves. I mean, hopefully he's able to come back and be the player that we know he is, and hopefully, bring that into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, we want to see. I mean, I personally, as a Patriots fan, I don't want to see the Eagles make the playoffs in general, but obviously, we want the best for the players. So hopefully, Jalen Hurts can come back and be healthy. Running backs, you got anything to say for the running backs?
Yeah, very unfortunate. Cleveland's own Nick Chubb, broken foot, done for the year. I mean, none bigger than that for me. He's my favorite player of all time, so it's very sad to see. But David Montgomery, MCL injury, out for the season. Is that confirmed?
Yeah, I think I think he's still looking. I think he's still looking for more options, but I think we know they want him to try and come back for the playoffs. But I think personally, in my opinion, I think it's going to be really shocking if he comes back because him and the Lions are just having him risk more of a re-injury.
Yeah, no, I certainly agree with that. James Conner injured his knee, I believe, last game. It was late last game. He was having a great game, so that sucks. I know a lot of people probably got affected by that. And Kenneth Walker, definitely a situation to monitor. Is he healthy now?
I think it's personally. I think if in fantasy, if you have Kenneth Walker, he's just a guy that you can't start because he's so unpredictable. He is a guy that loves to get injured. He is injury prone. And unfortunately, I think if you're going to the championship and you have Kenneth Walker, I know you're going to want to start Kenneth Walker, even if he's healthy. And he could very well produce if he's healthy. But personally, I'm more nervous based on the injuries that we've seen him have recently towards the back half of this season. I'd personally just bench him, in my opinion.
Yeah, don't hate it at all. And I guess the last guy to pretty much monitor is Alvin Kamara. Can he play next week? Obviously, he's not playing tonight versus Green Bay. Kendre Miller, maybe a name that we talk about a little later. So,
yeah. Steve in the chat has a question. He's up 26 points, and he has Kendre Miller and Brandon McManus. Do I hold on? If you told me that you had 16 points, I'd probably be more nervous for you. But I think you having 26 points, McManus, I think you could see having 10 to 12 points. I just don't see Kendre Miller having a big game. I think I could see him having max 12 points. I think mainly max points I could see between the two is 24 points.
Yeah, no, I can completely agree with that. I think McManus is going to be the guy that you're more worried about, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah. Which is crazy to think you're more nervous on a kicker.
No, yeah, and that's I know a lot of people felt that way last night with Brandon Aubrey. I mean, he
that guy's a stud. What a stud he is.
50-yarders and a couple PATs, 40-yarder. But I can see the same thing from McManus. So just root against Kendre Miller because I don't really think he's going to be the big factor here. I think it's going to be more McManus. But, yeah, I can't really see New Orleans at all doing anything tonight. So I probably wouldn't be worried.
Okay. Going to the wide receivers, T. Higgins, it looks like he is injured. That is something to monitor this upcoming week. T. Higgins, he suffered a left ankle injury in the third quarter. Again, he grabbed his ankle. It was his 8th reception. He did walk off the field after the catch under his own power, which is something to be more optimistic about. Again, he did return. I think that's just something to look at for this week and see what happens in practice. Is he a limited participant in practice this week? If he's a full participant, then there's no question T. Higgins is available for next week, and I think you've got to start him regardless. And then also Tank Dell, the most saddest story of today's injuries. Tank Dell, dislocated knee, torn ACL. He's going to be placed on IR. He is out for the season. And to double that up with some news on it, the Texans did claim Deontay Johnson, who can't find a team this season because he ends up on the free agency market 24/7. Deontay Johnson has been claimed. How much will he do for that Houston team? I'm not too sure because of the fact that I think Tank Dell is obviously the number one. I think you're going to see a little bit of John Mechie in there, who I think should be number 2. And then I think after that is Dalton Schultz.
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening. Just sucks for Tank Dell, man, because I think that's back-to-back crazy injuries, and both injuries were friendly fire, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So that's just so upsetting. You can see the entire team, including CJ Stroud, just bawling their eyes out when they saw probably one of their best friends go down. So very unfortunate there. But I honestly could definitely see Deontay Johnson honestly getting some work here because you look at Baltimore and I feel like they didn't really need the help. Here they do. The Texans have lost, at one point, all 3 of their top 3 receivers. So it's kind of a receiver carousel in Houston. I think that Deontay Johnson won't have a huge impact, but I think that we'll see him getting, some work every game, unlike, the constant goose eggs that he was laying up in Baltimore.
Also, in the championship week or semifinals for whoever decides to play Week 18 championship, I don't think you're starting him.
Probably not. Probably not, no.
Lastly, for tight ends, I just want to mention David Njoku. He is undergoing MRI on his knee today. Just kind of keeping up on the status. Obviously, he scored you 14.6 fantasy points, which is pretty good. He's currently sitting at the tight end 5 for the week. Obviously, we have Monday Night Football tonight, so he could go down. But top 5 tight end. I think after this, if he is out for the rest of the season, or at least the next 2 fantasy playoff weeks, then Jordan Atkins goes in there as a tight end 1 on that depth chart. And Gary, I don't think you're starting him in any league unless you are completely desperate for a tight end.
Probably not. Again, sucks to see Njoku because I feel like he's always dealing with an injury. He's powering through it for the most part, but I would personally just give him the rest of the year off because, we're not going to do anything in the season anyway. So I would hope that we choose to keep him rested if he needs to rest. Jordan Akins probably won't be much of a game changer. So.
Yeah, not at all. You got any more news, notes, injuries?
Also, just keep an eye on Zay Flowers. Did not practice yesterday or today. So if he's a guy that you need to play, just monitor that status.
Yeah, if Zay Flowers doesn't end up playing, I feel like that's just a huge thing because a lot of people have been banging on Zay Flowers. He's been on and off, hot and cold. If he's a game time decision and he ends up playing, are you still taking the risk and starting him?
I am, just due to the fact that the matchup is friendly. Houston allows the 7th most fantasy points to wide receivers, so that's definitely probably the biggest thing for me. Also, I feel like as inconsistent as he's been, unless you feel confident that you have another, flex bench guy, I think he has to start on your team. So,
yeah. All right. You got any more?
That's all I know.
All right. Let's get into it. Let's get into what everybody's here watching for. And it's the waiver wire of the week, the fantasy playoff edition. And obviously, this is the championship week for most leagues. And if you aren't playing this week and you're playing week 18, well, you need to talk to your commissioner because why in the world are you playing week 18? And I'm going to keep on saying it. But if you are the commissioner and you're watching this and you do play week 18, what's going on? Please tell me why. Why are you playing Week 18? You're going to have Patrick
sense.
Mahomes and Xavier Worthy all being benched, Travis Kelce being benched Week 18, and you're in the championship? What's going to happen?
Exactly.
Well, we're here this week and next week for those of you who do need that week. But we will be here on Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern time for both this week and next week. All right, let's get into some quarterbacks. I'll start with my guy. Do you know who my guy is?
Yeah. I'm very familiar with. Honestly, I'm very familiar with both your and Keith's guys.
And what did I say that he should be winning this year?
You might have said that he should be winning the most valuable player.
Yes, sir. Bo Nix is the guy that should have been winning MVP this year. Will he? Probably not. Or Rookie of the Year anyway. Sorry. But he did score 21.02 points this past week. He's currently sitting at the QB 15 this past week. But overall, in the performance of the season, he is sitting at QB 9 in your fantasy leagues, which means if you are in a 10-team league, he is doing better than one, maybe even more of the quarterbacks that you are starting in your lineups in your leagues. QB9, he has a very, very, very favorable matchup against Cincinnati this upcoming week. Cincinnati gives up so many fantasy points to quarterbacks because of how awful their defense is. They can't stop any team. Any team cannot be stopped. So I'm expecting a great day for Bo Nix. Not only that, Cortland Sutton should have a great day, and Devon Vale should also have a very great day. I'm going to be honest. I think if you have Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton, you got to duo that up, and you got to start them in your fantasy league next week.
I like it. I mean, anybody that is playing against the Bengals, you probably feel pretty comfortable starting because you mentioned it. That defense is absolutely atrocious. Leave it up to the Browns to look bad against it, however.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, in all seriousness, if you have Bo Nix, you have to start him. Unless you got, a top 3 to 5 guy that you're very, very confident in starting, he's got to start for you because not only is he playing the Bengals defense, but he's just been so solid all season that I feel like at this point in the year, you feel comfortable starting him in, a championship game, fantasy wise. So I think, this is a great pick. I'm surprised even though he's slightly, I'm surprised he's still under 70% owned.
Yeah, 69% owned, around that threshold of being 70% owned. I'm expecting him to go over 70% easily after this week.
Yeah.
So maybe next week we won't talk about him, but we've talked about him so many times this season. Keith, of course, is not here this week. So if you're watching this, put Keith, where are you in the chat? But anyways, Bryce Young is his guy. And, this guy, he's starting to look like a young stud, honestly. A top 10 quarterback in the last 2 of the last 4 weeks, finished as a QB2, and it was a mid matchup for him against Arizona. Arizona is kind of mid for giving up fantasy points to quarterbacks. You're looking at the last 2 games. Tampa Bay, who's got a really good matchup, and then Atlanta. So overall, I think Bryce Young, if you're needing a guy who needs to step up and say guys have not stepped up on your team, CJ Stroud has been turning up recently, which is honestly surprising because I've benched him in a lot of leagues, which is so sad to say because I'm such a big CJ Stroud believer. Cooper Rush did score 15 points this past week against Tampa Bay. Now, here's the thing. I think Bryce Young is a better quarterback than Cooper Rush, so I think you could see north of 15 points.
I certainly agree. I mean, Bryce Young's been my guy for the past couple of weeks or, past here and there weeks. I've just been very happy with this play. I think that he looks totally, totally different from when he started the year and last year. So I am definitely comfortable starting him in I believe a pretty quarterback friendly matchup. So yeah, that's all I got. I mean, he's been balling.
Yeah. Who is your guy to round out the quarterbacks?
So my guy is a guy that kind of fits the same thing. He started off really slow. Everybody, I feel like, expected him to be playing so much better. And ever since CJ Stroud tried to give him that advice that 1 week, he has been
so funny.
He has been doing way better.
So
Caleb Williams, he's just been better. That's all I have to say. 22.76 points last week. He's got a mid matchup against Seattle. I think it's a better matchup. I would say it's more of a
Yeah.
quarterback-friendly matchup.
Yes.
I honestly, I'm not even going to talk about it. We'll talk about it later, but I think Caleb Williams is going to play great this upcoming game. So if
Oh,
you're on the cusp of needing a quarterback next week, I think he has to start, and you're, hanging on to should I start this guy, should I start this guy? Just go with Caleb. I think he's going to play really good.
and I just want to mention what Gary's referring to is the last segment of our show, and that's
Yes.
usually Thursday night football predictions. But it's Christmas time, it's the holiday time. We got to ramp
That
it
it
up a
is.
little bit, and you know what?
That
Because
it
we're doing a
is.
show on Monday, we got ourselves a Monday night football prediction. We got ourselves a Christmas special edition of predictions, and then we not only have Saturday all 3 games, not one, not two, but 3 games, and then
Yes.
we round out Thursday night football, of course, with all of
Mhm.
this. So we got a total of what, 5, 6, 7, 7 games to pick?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? That's a lot of games.
Yeah.
That could really turn the table. Could help
Yes,
me.
it could.
I can tell you. I can tell you that can help me. Bo Nix, Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, our top quarterback ads of the week. Let's go into our running backs. And Gary, we'll start with you.
Sorry. Yeah, my running back is a guy that is playing tonight. I'm not the biggest believer, I guess I would say, but I think he's the only guy on his team that might produce. It's Kendre Miller, just over 50% rostered. So I feel that, people are desperate to find a Kamara backup, and that's who he is. Just monitor Kamara's status. I mean, he definitely could continue to miss more time, especially considering the fact that the Saints, I believe, are now out of it. So just monitor that. And they're playing Las Vegas next week, who's abysmal versus the run. So I think that Kendre Miller will probably produce next week. This week, I'm not so sure about, but I could definitely see him having like a 20-point week if Kamara is to miss next week.
I think that's the thing. I think the bigger thing to see on Kendre Miller is what will he do today? Is he going to perform?
Yeah.
Because if he performs well, I think he could be one of the best running back ads of the week in total. But again, if he struggles, I think people are going to kind of take a step back a little bit and kind of see what's going to happen with the Alvin Kamara situation. But I mean, I like the shout because I think he does have the potential. He's got a great potential. He came in, hasn't had the chance to succeed. Now is his moment to succeed. And if he can't succeed with the team that he has, even though it's terrible, that means they're going to have to lean on the run game. And if they can't lean on the run game, they're going to go to the passing game. And he's a pass catcher. So if he can catch the ball, then we might see him a little bit more. And especially in PPR leagues, he might be even more worthy of an ad.
Yeah, I agree.
Keith, do you want to talk about Keith's? I think this guy is a former Cleveland Brown, and you can mention a little funny joke, not really funny, but he's one of the best kickers, but he plays running back.
There it is.
I got to trash on your Browns still.
It's all good. I get used to it at some point, right? Keith's guy is Kareem Hunt. He had a great week, 15.9 points against the Texans. He's just under 60% owned, 58% owned. He's got the Steelers next. I mean, is he kind of taking over that backfield a little bit?
I think so.
I don't know. I think so too. Obviously, Pacheco is still there, but he's playing like under 40% of the snaps now. So could definitely be Kareem Hunt's backfield. So I like it.
Yeah, I think this is I was actually debating about adding him on my sheet for my running back. I just think it's tough to predict because Kareem Hunt could have a really, really good week or he could have a dud week with Pacheco and everything that's going on over there. But I think he's a guy that could definitely get you a good amount of points because of the fact he is a pass catcher.
Yeah.
So I like the shouts between Kareem Hunt and of course Kendre Miller, but I'm going to talk about a guy that we've mentioned a couple times, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not always the biggest fan on talking about him, but when we do, we have to give him the biggest shout out. And the reason why we give him the biggest shout out is because he's the bus, Gus the Bus Edwards. This guy, he was phenomenal this past week. And if you started him, he's currently sitting at the RB12. He is a top RB1 right now. And not only that, he's going on to face New England. New England. You know what James Cook just scored on New England? He scored you RB1 numbers. I think it was 27 fantasy points.
Yeah.
Right now, New England gives up the 9th most points to running backs this season, 2nd most to running backs in the last 2 weeks. I think Gus Edwards, it could be, you know what? I'm not going to say could. I'm guaranteeing it. He is going to be a league winner because of how terrible that New England defense is. He's just going to keep on pounding in the red zone because of how good we've been seeing him in the red zone. He has been efficient in the red zone. I think you can, again, see another 20-plus point game.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you. Coming into this year, I figured Gus Edwards is going to be the guy in LA. Turns out it's my old friend J.K. Dobbins, so I was also okay with that. But kind of seeing now what I thought Gus Edwards is going to be coming into this year, now that he's got the backfield pretty much to himself, Kamani Vidal still getting a little bit of the work. He's been good. He just had 2 touchdowns this past week against a good Broncos defense. So one of them he exploded like a 25, 30-yard run for. So he's definitely looks good when he's gotten the ball. And yeah, you mentioned it. James Cook ran all over New England. I can see Gus Edwards doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what the Bus has in store for us next week.
Yeah.
Gus, the Bus Edwards, Kareem Hunt, and Kendre Miller, our top ads of the week for the running back position. Let's go into our wide receivers. And I'll start with Keith's guy, actually, because Keith's guy is actually an intriguing ad because he's a guy that I mentioned a couple times, and that's Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. Now, here is where I'm a little nervous on adding him because he's not seeing as many targets as what he was in the past. In the last 3 weeks, we've seen him have only 9 targets. That's not good. You want to see him have at least 8, 9 targets in 1 week, not over a span of 3 weeks. That 3-week span, though, that I had him as an ad of the week, he was scoring 6, 5, 8. That's how much he was getting for targets. I think the reason why he's solely going on matchup. Jacksonville, terrible team. Really good, though, for the wide receivers that they go up against. So I think solely he's going on the matchup. And he's only 32% owned. He did get you an average 9.7 points this week.
Yeah, I can completely understand where he's going with this. I mean, the Jaguars, I believe, give up the most points, maybe close to the most points versus wide receivers. So they are absolutely terrible. And Westbrook-Ikhine could definitely torch them. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. So I can understand this shout here, even though he's kind of calmed down since having that crazy 3 or 4 week span.
Yeah. You want to mention your guy as well?
You know, guys, the wide receiver position is starting to slowly deteriorate.
Yes, it very much is.
Unfortunately, Fernando took my guy. So, you know what?
Sorry,
I just figured, let me swing for the fences. I think this is the first time I've picked, or any of us have picked a guy that has scored 0 points, except for any buys.
I was going to say,
Patrick.
You got to mention buys.
Yeah, of course. Tim Patrick's my guy. He just put up 0.00 points last week. Why is he here for me? Honestly, he's just been good the games before that. He's got 3 touchdowns in the past 2 games and averaged 17.7 fantasy points in those 2 games. I mean, like I said, this wide receiver room is just not good right now on waivers. And I think that if I'm picking one up for a championship, I think I'm kind of desperate at that point. If all these guys are already gone, I think Tim Patrick's got to be one of them that comes off the waiver wire story for me because he's got that 20-point game ability. Now, is it 20 or nothing? Probably, sure. But like I said, if you're looking at the waiver wire right now, you're probably really, really desperate for a guy. If all these guys are already gone, Tim Patrick's a great idea, I think.
This is a tough one. This is like a bold prediction here. So, if you had to predict Tim Patrick next week, how many are you predicting?
Well, another reason why I think I put him here was because they're playing San Fran at San Fran. Although San Fran hasn't been good this year, that's not always an easy game for teams. I could honestly see this being a close game not the usual Detroit blowout, whoever they play. I think Tim Patrick could definitely be a factor here in the passing game. They're probably going to be double teaming Amon-Ra. Usually that doesn't matter for most teams, but San Francisco's defense is pretty solid. I think that Tim Patrick could definitely be a 15-point performance here.
Ooh. Okay. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see what Tim Patrick has in the books for next week in the championship. Let's go with my guy. And, you could go down the street to a McDonald's and get yourself a McChicken. But why are you going to go get a McChicken when you can get McMillan? Jalen McMillan is my ad of the week. This guy popping off 16.7 points. He's starting to look really good. He's starting to look like the best Washington wide receiver coming out of this year's draft. Roma Dunze and Jalen Polk. Oh, wait, we're mentioning Jalen Polk again? Oh, man, Polk. Yeah, he's, by the way, McMillan was drafted a round and a half later than Jalen Polk. McMillan, he is a stud. He's getting into the end zone. That's what you want to see. And not only do you want to see that, you want to see him getting targets. He's getting 7, 6, 7. He's getting a good amount of targets. He's getting 20 targets in the last 3 games, and he's scoring you 15 plus fantasy points. Now, I'm not saying that he is a wide receiver 1 this week. I'm saying that he's a solid wide receiver 2 this week. He's going up against Carolina, which is a mid matchup, which you could be scared about, but I'm not scared about it because we know Baker has to win. He has to win this game if he wants to have a playoff chance. Or maybe not. Maybe not. He doesn't. Maybe he wants to go back to the former Browns self and be trash. But we don't want that. I don't want that personally because I actually like Baker when he bakes. But McMillan's my ad of the week for the wide receiver position.
Like I said, you took my guy. So I'm not going to hate on this at all. I think another thing for me that you didn't mention was that Sterling Shepard's hurt. I don't know if he's, going to be cleared for next week, but he had a hamstring injury, left the game, and I believe he was ruled out almost on the spot. So that's definitely something to watch and keep an eye on because those hamstring injuries linger. And Sterling Shepard, when he was playing, was getting 3 or 4 targets a game. So that's someone else's targets now. And I think that Jalen McMillan could definitely be the guy that they use to get downfield because last night, especially, we didn't see too much of Mike Evans. There was more Jalen McMillan. So I definitely could see Jalen McMillan putting up a 20-point game.
McCookin. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Also, I want to mention Sterling Shepard real quick because you reminded me. Did you see his intro?
I did with his kids.
That was adorable. That was actually adorable.
Cool. That was cool.
That was so cute to see.
Never seen anything like that.
Ironically, a family member actually asked me. They're like, "Oh, I'm seeing people say high school or whatnot. They don't really watch football. They're saying, oh, they say they're high school and everything. Why are they? Do they not go to college? I thought they had to go to college." I said, "No, they do. But when they take it, they don't care what they say as long as it's obviously TV appropriate." But I mean, now you really get to see. I mean, hey, you just saw that. He didn't say the high school. His kids did. Sorry, college. But it was so cute to see. I loved it.
Yeah. That was cool.
Jalen McMillan, Nick Westbrook-Akeen, and Tim Patrick are our top waiver wire ads of the week for the wide receiver position. Let's go into the tight end position, and I will talk about my guy. And the reason why I'm talking about my guy in Dalton Schultz is because when we saw him in Dallas last year and the year before that, he was producing. He produced a lot, and he was one of your top tight ends of the year. Now, he's kind of had a slow progression here this past season with Houston. And we haven't really seen him turn the Jets until this past week, really. 15.5 points he put up, 56% owned. He's going against Baltimore, which we know Baltimore gives up so many fantasy points to any position, really. And again, with Tank Dell out for the season, they need to rely on someone. Can John Mechie step up to the wide receiver too? I want to say yes. Because I know how good John Mechie can be. But if John Mechie cannot turn up, and even if he can, I don't think he can turn up all that much as Tank Dell does. Dalton Schultz is going to be the next man up. So I think Dalton Schultz is my top tight end ad of the week.
No, for sure. CJ Stroud has to throw the ball to somebody. And I think that the big reliable tight end is always the guy that I watch out for. So, yeah, I love this pick. He definitely could do great going forward.
Okay. Do you know Keith's pick? Do you want to mention a little bit of Keith's pick? Because this is probably such an odd pick, in my opinion, because we don't really talk about him as much.
So Keith went with Tyler Conklin, who had a pretty solid week this past week, 10.9 points. He was a guy that I feel like we mentioned a little bit towards the beginning because Aaron Rodgers actually seemed to target him a lot towards the beginning of the year. Since then, hasn't really been able to produce, but he did that last week, and Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, has looked a lot better. So I think that the reception opportunities are just going to be there for Tyler Conklin. He's only 11% owned, so he's out there. Definitely not a bad pickup.
Okay. I think this is a tough one to really predict, in my opinion. Probably, I wouldn't say, I mean, tight ends are also really tough to pick up. But I think this is probably, if I had to do out of the three that we have, I think he's number 3 for me.
For sure.
Let's finish off with your guy, who I was going to pick, actually. But
yeah, my guy's been one of your favorite guys all year. Maybe it's because he wears that red, white, and blue. I don't know. But Hunter Henry, he's also been one of my guys this year. I just haven't been quick enough to grab him because Fernando, the Patriots fan, has beat me to it. But he's been playing great all year. I'm surprised he's only 57% owned. I believe he's tight end 10 on the season. So in your 10, 12, 14-man leagues, he has to be owned. Just had a really nice solid week, 14 points against the Bills. Like I said, he's been May's guy all year, and I would expect that to continue next week. Although the Chargers defense is tough against the pass, I personally think that playing against tougher pass defenses usually favor tight ends more. So,
yeah, I could agree with that. I think this one's a tough one. No, it's not really tough. Don't worry, Gary. I scared you there. I know. No, I like Hunter Henry. I think he's been a solid tight end. I just wish he could really, really break out. I really want to see him pop out because I know he's a good tight end. It's just the offense is just not that great. Drake May, right. Don't get me wrong, but
you know what though? He's going against his old team, so maybe
that just means
maybe this is his 25-point week.
Yeah. That just means that maybe we might see him pop off. 2 touchdowns. Yeah. Bold prediction. Take the over if he's got a 0.5 touchdown. Anytime touchdown. Dalton Schultz, Tyler Conklin, Hunter Henry, our top waiver wire ads for the tight end position. Gary, do the honors. What are we doing here?
Thursday night football, Monday night football, Christmas, Saturday predictions. We got them all here for you tonight. Would you say 6 games, 7 games? I mean, we got a slate here. We got a slate here, and I'm excited.
I am so excited. Looking at the records right now, Gary is in 2nd place. I am in 3rd place. Keith, 1st place. Keith right now sits 21-15 overall record. Gary sits 19-17 overall record, and I sit 17-19. This is a very, very tough week because this can really, really shake things up. We could see someone having a complete win in these predictions, or we may have a little 3-way tie. It could come down to the very end. We're going to do the over-unders off the show because there's too many to talk about. Way too many to talk about. But giving you the roundout of these games. Saints-Packers tonight. Then we got our Week 17 predictions as well. The Chiefs-Steelers, great showdown there on Christmas. Then we got the Ravens-Texans, another great showdown. And then Thursday Night Football, Seahawks-Bears. Not that great of a showdown. But you know what? It's Thursday Night Football. Prime time. Can't go wrong. Then we got 3 games of slated games. We got 6 total games. 7, excuse me. Chargers, Patriots. We'll see the Chargers hopefully maybe take it, or will the Patriots upset? Broncos, Bengals. That one should have been a primetime game. That's going to be such a big game. I'm going to be watching it. No one talk to me from 4:30 to 8:30 that day, please. Cardinals, Rams, primetime. That's another good one because Rams are still trying to get a playoff contention in this playoffs.
Yeah, we got a good slate, like I said. I'll start us off. Why not? Should I just go all 7?
Nah, let's go one at a time real quick. We can just bang it out.
All right, well, we got to start with the Packers Saints first. It's happening tonight. I think this is going to be the consensus pick here. I got the Packers winning. I don't think it's going to be that close. 27-10.
Yeah,
is that the over or the under? What's the over under set at?
We're going to do the over unders off the show.
Oh, okay.
There's too many to mention. You said 27-10. That's crazy. Keith says 26-13 Packers. And, I had my prediction. And then I lost my prediction. But do you think I'm going to go with the Saints here? Should I go with the Saints here?
Don't think so.
No, I can't. I'm taking the Packers 27-20. That's my prediction.
Wow.
Listen, it's going to be closer than we think.
Okay.
It's going to be closer than we think.
We'll see.
Week 17 now. Let's go on to Christmas holiday, however you want to mention it. Christmas Day, Chiefs, Steelers. I'm going to take it first. I really want to take the Steelers here. Really want to take the upset. I can't go against the Chiefs. 30-28 is my score. Chiefs, they'll take it.
I was also thinking about going with the Steelers. I really, really, really was. But then I thought about it. This is a huge game for them to, possibly keep the 1 seed in the AFC North over the Ravens. I think they're going to sell again. Of course they're playing the Chiefs, so it's not like it's, a complete sell, I guess. But I think they're going to fall flat when it matters most. Give me the Chiefs 24-19.
Ooh, 24-19. All right. So the low-scoring affair for you. Keith's pick, 27-24 Chiefs. So again, still pretty close, 1-score game. Chiefs usually have that when they win. It's usually a 1-score game. Let's go Ravens-Texans, 4:30 p.m. slated game on Christmas Day. I'll take the Ravens, 24-20.
Yeah, this is another one where I really, really, really wanted to take the Texans, but I think they're too banged up. That passing game's possibly going to look slow to start. I still have it reading really close, but I'm going to take the Ravens 28-27.
Okay. Keith has the Ravens 33-23.
Two-score win.
Yeah, that's a good margin. Good margin right there. Thursday Night Football, Seahawks, Bears. I'm going to take the Seahawks, and so will Keith. I'm taking the Seahawks 20-17, very low-scoring affair. Keith, he's taking Seahawks 28-23. And he did mention on the side of our little doc before the show, Bears suck. That was his message.
I don't think so. I don't think the Bears suck. I hinted at something earlier. I think this is our first game so far where we don't all agree. I got the Bears winning at home, 24-20. Ooh. Sorry, Seahawks fans. I think Caleb's going to have a great game, like I mentioned. Bears get it done. Bear down.
Bear down, indeed. That's exciting to see. You're the only one. Right now, you're the lone wolf. Let's go into the Saturday slated games. Chargers, Patriots. Man, do I want to pick the Patriots to win because I think this is a game the Patriots actually have a chance to win. But we're tanking. Please, New England. Please, tank. 21-20, Chargers win it.
Yeah, again, I really, really, really wanted to take the Patriots here, but I don't think I can do it. Chargers, still in a prime spot for the playoffs. So I took the Chargers 23-17, and once again, we have a sweep as Keith takes Chargers 24-14. So he doesn't really see it being a close game. We do.
Yes, very much. Broncos, Bengals, this one's such a big game. I really, really could go either way. I want to root for the Broncos because of Bo Nix, but Cinderella story for the Bengals. It's a high-scoring affair. 34-30 is my final score, a high-scoring game. Keith has a lower-scoring game, 26-16. He thinks the Broncos are only going to score 16 points.
I think Katie made that prediction.
Oh yeah, probably Katie made that. I gotta clip this and send it to Katie. I guarantee you, she probably did. She wants the Bengals to make it, but we'll see. 27-16 is Keith's score there.
No, yeah, I completely agree with everything that you said. I got the Bengals 31-27. I'm gonna be rooting for the Bengals. Unfortunately, I love Joe Burrow. I love Jamar Chase. I think they're gonna be cooking with some gas like they have in the past couple weeks. High scoring affair. Bengals get it done.
Who Day. That's the motto here. We're going Bengals all the way. A sweep there. And then to close off, it's the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Los Angeles Rams, a NFC West showdown in prime time, really. Saturday Night Football. Who are you taking here?
If you asked me a few weeks ago when this game happened, I 100% would have taken the Cardinals because I was kind of a big Cardinals guy halfway through the year. Thought they were going to run with it, take the NFC West, but man, they just did not look like that great of a team. Instead, the Rams have stepped up, and I think they're going to close it out. Rams 27-20. They just look like a superior team.
That's a great one. That's a great one right there. You mentioned how the Rams, if you asked a couple weeks ago, the Cardinals would win. I also agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I think there's no way you go against the Rams here. And that's something that none of us are going to do. You took 27-20 Rams. I'm taking 27-24 Rams. And I don't know. Did Keith
got some blowouts
games? Like, he just got blowouts. 32-20 Rams. So this is going to be intriguing. Obviously, we only have one game difference, and that is Gary's with the Bears over the Seahawks. Obviously, we're going to have the over-unders, but you guys will find out the scores on that next week when we talk about our predictions. Unfortunately, there might be not much moving in the standings unless it's the over-unders that really make the difference.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. But that is our predictions across the board. Monday Night Football, Christmas Day, Thursday Night Football, Saturday. It's all coming to you. You got anything else you got to mention?
Just good luck in your playoffs, everybody. We got something riding on it tonight. Be praying for everybody. Let's all get into the championship.
Yes. Championship bound. Let's go here. Wish you all the best of luck in the rest of your semifinals games tonight. For any of you who are hoping for the win, we hope that you can win. And for any of you who have lost and been eliminated, better luck next year. But again, if you haven't done so already, use that code SportsTimeHQ. Make sure on Underdog Fantasy, because they're going to match your first deposit up to $100. Free $100. You put in $100, and then guess what? You know how to bet. You're going to keep on making money. Again, code SportsTimeHQ on Underdog Fantasy. Yeah, of course, Gary does a lot of predictions, bets on there as well. And if you're looking to pick a trophy, a ring, a belt, any type of memorabilia for your winners, go to trophysmack.com/SportsTimeHQ. Again, Thursday Night Football predictions in the whole season. Who will get the trophy of the toilet bowl? We're still waiting for that donation. Because Gary, we already know Gary's going to get that toilet bowl trophy after taking the Bears. Bear down.
What?
Bear down the toilet bowl trophy. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing here. Again, we wish you all a very Merry Christmas, and we wish you all happy holidays, and enjoy the time with your family members. And again, we wish you the best of luck in your semifinals, and we'll see you all next week on Monday Night Football when we do those predictions as well. So long, here from Sports Time HQ. I was joined by my great co-host, Gary. You can follow him all over social media at GD Picks. And Gary, obviously Keith isn't here. Maybe he'll be here next week. But if you haven't done so already, go follow him all over social media at SwampDonkey_90. I'm Fernando. I'm your host of Sports Time HQ. We're going to see you next week.